Hello friends, welcome back to Dragon Warrior Randomizer. The summer tournament continues this afternoon. Hope you're having a good day so far. We've got a match in the Scorpion group today featuring VaeluV and Vennicus. This will be Vale's first match. Vennicus is 0-2 so far, but has acquitted himself well to this point. On our restream today, we have Beta Strep as our tracker, currently attempting to challenge Camion Renikai for most hours tracked during the summer tournament. I am your restreamer, and I am attempting to challenge our current leader, JJ Schmidt, for most hours streamed during the summer tournament, although I realize I will probably never catch him. I'm Archfield Monk, and I'll also be flying solo in the commentary booth for you today. Looking forward to this one. We do have a minimum strength start, as you can see in our tracker there. VaeluV running strength agility. So not much difference in the stats. Vale's actually got a little bit of an agility penalty to start and a 1 defense power penalty as a consequence. But we'll get ready to drop the gate here in just a moment or two. Glad you could be with us today. If I miss anything, please feel free to call it out in chat. Happy to have you all here today. Looking forward to another good day of racing here in the summer tournament. You see our racers on screen, VaeluV on your left, using the character name Rag. That is short, of course, for his preferred sprite, and Vale's an avid Dragon Warrior 4 randomizer runner and Dragon Warrior 4 speedrunner, in fact. So that's, of course, short for Ragnar, who you see is using as a sprite there on the left side of your screen. Vennicus going with Dark Knight Cecil from Final Fantasy IV on the right side. And I only started the timer about 3 seconds late, so that's a GG for me as far as I'm concerned. I'm having a good day today. Gold in the first chest, magic key in the second, so we've got a double key start. Vennicus got a much better roll in his gold chest, but both of them at minimum have some hand axe money. They're going to take a look at their stats there. I saw some different stats on screen. I didn't load the wrong ROM into the tracker, did I? Maybe I just missaw that. I think I did, actually. Yep. Yep, you all got baited. I have to redo the thing. Those were much different stats than we saw. So, let me do this, and I'll see if I don't just ruin the stream altogether. That actually was the ROM from the earlier race, and I totally chose the wrong one. Yes, Aaron has the right of it. So I'm going to attempt to troubleshoot this. You guys can keep track of what's going on here. Looks like we have Stones of Sunlight Cave in the basement. I did not catch the treasury, but we've got Fighter's Ring, a Fairy Water, Curse Belt, and a Torch from what I'm seeing. There we go. I think we're in business now. Those stats look like they more closely resemble what we're looking at there. And I'll get our timer synced up here in a moment. It's going to be around 2:15. Alright, I think I've safely recovered from that disaster of my own making. And it looks like we've got VaeluV grinding here. He's going to get some fairy water by the looks of it. Vennicus only had one, but he did take his into the field and get a Scorpion. And he's going to jump up to 20 experience points and therefore level 3 right away. Got a couple spells there. Heal and heal more. So already some healing in the bank with 21 magic points. So pretty good for the first couple of levels there. Let's get our runner records back in. Alright, so I think we're back set where we should be on the tracking side. Thank you everybody in chat and beta for keeping up with all that stuff. Looks like just to the east here we do see a town on VaeluV's screen, but he is going to get taken out by a Druid Lord before he can reach that town. Vennicus has settled into a little bit of a grind here, but he's going to have to slug it out against this Scorpion. He's out of fairy water already, so just trying to take it out melee. It's going to be a difficult fight, but he is doing 1 to 2 damage here on 14 attack power, and he will get the Scorpion to jump up to level 4 as VaeluV finds out that the Droll has DL2 breath. Not optimal. VaeluV's running a little bit low on fairy water already. His ammunition has been depleted somewhat, but he is going to be able to get level 3 off this magician. And it looks like the strength is remaining low, so anytime they can dip into that treasury and pull out another fairy water, it might be to their benefit here. Right now, sitting on 14 and 15 attack power respectively, the best they can hope to do against a lot of these monsters is maybe 3 or 4 damage. But even 1 fairy water is immensely helpful in this kind of a situation. Doesn't look like there's much below a magician that we've seen so far, at least, although we do now see a regular old slime on Vennicus' screen. VaeluV going to opt to also take this fight against the Scorpion. It does have hurt, but that doesn't do... it does a little bit more damage than the Scorpion's melee attack at the moment, with 10 defense power. But this is a winnable fight with the heal spell. You just have to make sure you stay out of those dangerous ranges. Right now, I think that's around 6, I believe, would be the Scorpion's maximum damage with 10 defense power. But unfortunately, that Scorpion, I was worried about this. Whenever the enemy has 1 offensive ability, there's always the chance that it rolled something into that utility slot as well, and that Scorpion had heal more and put an end to that fight right away. So VaeluV won't come away with the experience for that, is still stuck on level 3. And yeah, as Beta Strep mentions in chat, the fairy water right now becomes immensely valuable. You do have to burn a key to get to it, but it's very useful. If you can get your hands on that, you can basically one-shot anything that they're seeing in this zone with a fairy water and even a half-decent roll. Vennicus also locked in combat with a Scorpion right now. The question is, will he also find out that it has heal more, or will he even get it into range here? It looks like he's in danger. Next hit would kill him off if it lands, but, well, of course it'll land because the hero can't dodge. Hero has lead feet. But Vennicus not able to get that one done, so takes the death there. VaeluV does make it over to this town. It is Garenham. He does have a little bit of money here, so if he's not dipping the treasury for torches, perhaps, or for fairy water, pardon me, a good course of action might be to buy some torches here. Those are still doing plenty more damage than his attack on the current levels, but he does have that cursed belt. He can sell that for 180. We do have the checks available as well. If you missed our start, we had a double key start, and with gold, so both of our racers were able to buy keys right away, which means we have immediate access to the back door of Garenham here. And we'll get a look at this weapon shop too. VaeluV's got 265 gold at his disposal, and there is a copper sword here. That is helpful. But they're still actually in a range where something like a Torch and definitely Fairy Water would still do more damage against a lot of the enemies we've been seeing in Zone 0. So we'll see what he decides to do here. Looks like he's going to grab some herbs. Meanwhile, Vennicus has gotten level 5, but it doesn't look like there's much help there. The attack power did not budge. No strength on that level. But maybe there will be some more help here in the back of Garanham for VaeluV. First chest is a magic key, so they'll get that one back. And Erdrick's armor. Huge deal here, right in the back of Garanham, just one screen to the east of Tanagel Castle. So that helps a lot. Now Vale's actually up at 40 defense points. He's breaking everything in Zone 0, 1, and 2, so if he decides to grind early, he'll have a much easier time of that. The cave here in the back of Garanham looks like Swamp South. And since he's back here, he's going to try to take a trip through. We'll get a first look at this zone, which shares some monsters with both Mountain Cave. And we've got a gold man so far. So very big deal here. Erdrick's armor, of course, gives you that heal walking. They have heal spells, of course, but it also cuts spell and breath damage by a third. Makes you immune to those swamp and barrier tiles. VaeluV on 25 agility right now, having a hard time getting away from this blue dragon, and the blue dragon has sleep and hurt. So that would be almost entirely neutralized once they grab stop spell, something to keep in mind for later. So that's at least some good information taken away from that attempt to get through Swamp Cave. And we see Vennicus now has built about an 80 experience point lead. A little bit more than that, having sat down here in Zone 1 to grind, but it's been slow going because of that low attack power. And it looks like VaeluV is going to head off to the northeast. We do see across this river here a cave, but the access to it is not immediately obvious. So Vale's just going to wrap around here to the east, see what else he can find. Of course, with that copper sword, his fights will go much faster, so we'll see how long this experience differential lasts, and whether or not Vennicus decides to strike out and do some exploration. It looks like we have a very closely situated east-west zone here. That was a Warlock, or perhaps even a north-south zone. That was a Warlock that is not in Zone 0, so the zones are very close to Tanagel in this seed, it looks like. VaeluV duking it out with everybody's favorite enemy, the Poltergeist, which naturally has heal. We see a Warlock here on VaeluV's screen. I'm going to assume then that this is the north. Well, this would be the north zone almost certainly, but looks like where Vennicus may have strayed earlier might have been south zone, because those will share a monster set. This Warlock does have sleep, but as I pointed out earlier, VaeluV on 40 defense is breaking everything that he will see in these opening zones, including this Warlock. So the Warlock not doing a ton of damage. But VaeluV in return only doing, I think, about 3 to 6 or 3 to 7 against this Warlock. Oh, and of course, as I say that, the Warlock, I mentioned earlier, if you see one of an ability in one of those slots, a monster can always have an ability in the other, and the Warlock has Weak Breath here, as Vennicus reaches level 6, 9, 4, 11, and 2. So a pretty decent boost across the board there. And now much better situated if he wants to continue to fight, but it looks like he's headed toward the south zone to see what else he can find here. Maybe a slime in the mix, not really what you want to see. Druin isn't altogether terrible at the moment on 24 attack power. Good crit there from VaeluV. He's going to just get over that threshold into level 5. No strength on this level. 11 agility, though. So far, Vennicus seems very content to just stick here south of the castle and try to take on some of these north-south zone enemies. He'll find the Poltergeist here too, and I think we've got a new town on VaeluV's screen. He's gone north around the body of water here through this swamp, which of course does no damage to him as he's got Erdrick's armor. Let's see what town this is. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is back around to Garenham. So we just had kind of a lake sitting there that divides the landmass here. He just kind of went around the loop, found himself back in Garenham. Nice scenic trip around the lake. Good thing to do on a Saturday afternoon. Vennicus finds Poltergeist have heal and decides to get out of that fight post-haste. A good decision. Oh, we've got this... Oh, the Droll not only has DL2, but I think that's the first time we saw it throw that sleep. And so Vennicus is going to get stopped just short of Garenham, but now that he knows that it's there, you're about 15 minutes into the race, one assumes that he will head back there as soon as he can. This zone just east of Garenham looks a little bit treacherous. We see a wizard there already. Vale just barely getting away. Going to some heal more and run strats. We've got a blue dragon nearby too. So this might not be an easy area to traverse, and this could be our area that we need to get through as Vennicus reaches Garenham. He does have a little bit of gold on him. He went for quite a grind stretch there without taking a death. So even without selling his cursed belt, he does have some gold on him, so he'll have some available purchasing power at the shop here as well. And these kind of low middle tier enemies have been very unkind this seed. We see now the wolf has hurt more. VaeluV trying to take that on. That's a very viable target here, even if it's a slower fight, but just can't get any traction against some of these monsters with their HP where it is currently. VaeluV is going to head directly north and find Remulder. It already has keys, so not quite as big a deal as it would usually be, but this chest, of course, could have something important. I think Vennicus maybe didn't pick up anything at the shop there. It's possible he forgot that he has that cursed belt on him. But he is going to get his armor. Very important here. VaeluV wants a check of the weapon shop in Remulder. It looks like we've got a silver shield and a hand axe, the best weapon here. The armor, of course, of no consequence. And Vale does have enough money to pick up that hand axe. So that's a 5 attack power improvement over his previous weapon, the copper sword. And oh no. Swamp Cave looks like it not only has those blue dragons, but also some armored knights. But Vennicus gets away from this one. And it looks like he's going to continue to try to power his way through. VaeluV, meanwhile, refilling his keys. It's, of course, the cheapest key shop available. He's spent a few to get into that single chest here in Rim. So just going to refill real quick while he's here and head off to the north. Vennicus has made it through Swamp Cave. Yes, Guelph, exactly. By power through, I mean run away from everything. Vennicus getting out of those high encounter rate tiles and trying to make some exploration headway. He is on the west coast here, on the other end of Swamp Cave. And he's found a wolf now too. Well, the wolf And on 24 attack power, unfortunately, incredibly difficult fight, and the hurt more makes it virtually impossible, at least at the moment. But as we see right now, the experience lead has held for Vennicus. That early grind has paid off. VaeluV hasn't found much in his exploration that would give him some leverage here, even with the hand axe at his disposal, so we'll see how this continues to play out as the race continues. But there's really not a lot that you would expect to find while exploring that you could maybe take out here, so maybe VaeluV is settling into a grind here in the North Zone. And was that a Wyvern with Dragonlord 2 Breath? Yeah, the mid-tier enemies, as Beta Strep points out, are not very kind, and I think that's the first heal more I've seen from a Druin. VaeluV can swing through this, of course, but it's just kind of another little hindrance that you don't like to see, and if I'm not mistaken, I think there's only one place left for Vennicus to go here on Second Continent. He's explored to the north and the east, both of those rather immediate dead ends, and unfortunately he will not get to see if there's anything further south of Swamp Cave here through that small passage in between the bodies of water. Gonna get sent back by that wizard. We see Vennicus has 101 experience points to level 7. VaeluV has, let's see, about 28 to go to level 6, which is very convenient because that happens to be precisely the amount that a Warlock dispenses. 9, 4, 10, and 2. So we're starting to see a little bit of divergence between our builds here, but just a little bit at this level. Once you get into the 40s, those will start to show some differences in points, and you see that currently VaeluV has 2 fewer hit points and 1 more agility than Vennicus does. And it looks like a return to the grind for Vennicus. This is probably a good idea, especially now that he knows there's at least Copper Sword available in Garenham. He could get that right away if he'd remembered that cursed belt, but unfortunately, don't think he did, so he'll have to build up gold the old-fashioned way, grinding it out. Fortuitously, these enemies all give a decent chunk of gold, so as long as he can take out a couple more Druins, get back over there, he'll perhaps have a weapon available to him. And we saw this cave across the water before, but we had not seen this town until just now, and it turns out that Cole was over here in this swamp, just a screen to the west of Tanagel. This could be a very important search spot. You're 21 minutes into this seed. See some similar offerings in the weapon shop there, I believe a silver shield as we had seen in Remulder previously. But we'll get a look at the search spot, and it's Erdrick's token. Phew. Probably VaeluV breathing a sigh of relief there, perhaps at least. You always like to see the sword, but if you see the sword one screen to the west 21.5 minutes into the seed, your heart kind of sinks a little bit, so perhaps a little bit of a blessing there that the sword was not lurking just off screen. That said, VaeluV now 2 quest items in hand, and we're going to get, I believe, our first look at this cave. Provided the poltergeist goes away, and thankfully for everybody it does. We've got Grave of Garen. Now, we've seen some of these monster sets before. Full diving the grave could be very dangerous based on what we've seen in Swamp Cave. But VaeluV looking here, looks like we've just got a couple of herb chests and maybe a replacement torch. Nothing much on offer there in the top 3. But VaeluV looks like he's going to give this a shot. Poltergeist here in the top zone of Grave. Not the worst cave ever as a consequence, but probably in the top 5. tied with all other caves that have ever had a poltergeist. No encounters on the grave nexus floor for VaeluV, and it looks like he might have a shot at getting to chest number 4, Scorpion. A very good enemy to find at this stage. Don't want to see anything much more dangerous than that. 4th chest of grave is a torch. Wow. Garen's grave was not very well appointed, so far at least, in this seed. Garen was laid to rest with basically stuff people just had lying around the house. Vennicus, 2 experience points shy of level 7 and also has copper sword money at his disposal. I think he wants to see this level first. He headed back up to Zone 0 to get something quick. And with that Magician, we'll get our first look at level 7. No power, 9 speed, 9 hit points, 1 magic point, no spells. Well, alright then. Vennicus is going to head west now, and we'll find Cole as VaeluV continues to try to dive grave here. 40 agility, not a terrible... not terrible odds to run away from a DK here, but I think Vale took a wrong turn in grave. Yeah, he was down at the southeast stair on that Nexus floor. A very useful floor to have if you're playing stair shuffle, but not so much with unshuffled stairs. Vennicus now has his token. Was able to pick up a copper sword there at the shop, so finally armed. And now in pretty good position as he'll find grave. Is Vennicus going to make the same decision, or will he opt out of this grave dive? VaeluV, 50 defense points and 47 hit points. Judicious decision there to try to heal more, to give himself another shot to run away from that Magiwyvern. Running a little bit low on resources, but still has some herbs. Now knows he can be hit for at least 25, so he's going to heal more on 22. And get away from that one as well. Can he make it to 5th chest? And if he does, will it be another zonk, or will it be a big deal? Here we go. Fortune smiles upon thee. Thou hast found the vanilla silver harp. How about that? Very clutch grave dive here for VaeluV. 25 minutes into this seed with all 3 quest items. So he's got a roadmap in front of him for the completion of this seed. He just needs to find his trades and some place to get some experience points. Right now, Vennicus pulling the top 3 from grave, and what he decides to do next could have a pretty big impact on the rest of this seed as VaeluV looks for the express exit from bottom floor of a grave. And he's gonna get it. Wyvern pulls out the DL2 breath and sends him back to the castle, but now that's checked off, and Vennicus also is going to dive, but as Betastrap points out in chat, this is not at all a free dive. The enemies that we've seen are very dangerous. We've got those wyverns down there too, which we know have DL2, and Vennicus has enough HP to survive one of those with Erdrick's armor, but not more than one, so run chances will play a big part in determining whether or not this goes well for Vennicus. As we see, we've got now an exactly 100 point experience gap. Vennicus still continuing to hold the lead there. As VaeluV reaches level 7. I think there were at least a couple of races in last summer's tournament in which I hurt more at every poltergeist I saw. Just out of spite. That was probably the last time, but we've seen a lot of poltergeists fought today. Very uncommon occurrence. Demon Knight encounter on Vennicus' screen. These have a lot of evasion, but not a ton of agility. You can run from them reasonably frequently on 48. I want to say, I'm actually going to reference my run chart for once. I almost never look at this thing. I think it's around 75% to run from a Demon Knight on 48 agility. And the Magiwyverns are in the same neighborhood, probably just a little shy of 75%. So still a dangerous dive for Vennicus, but he's going to at least try to take out this Spectre here. It does have weak breath. This is kind of fightable, but if you're really bound and determined to get to 5th chest, it's not probably an encounter you want to stick around for. And Vennicus is going to opt out, running from both of these Spectres. On his way back to the Nexus floor, runs into a Wizard. He's got 3 heal mores at his disposal, is going to try to use one here to buy himself a couple more run chances. This Wizard is not cooperating. I think this encounter is probably about a 2/3 chance to run away. Ish. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Does get away, only has the 1 heal more left, and is going to try to get some experience from this skeleton. Which is one of the few enemies that we haven't seen any abilities from yet today. And as a consequence of these 2 skeleton kills, Vennicus, at least for the moment, keeping the experience points buffer he's built. At this point in the race, we still see about 100 points of separation between them, and oh no! Vennicus had not seen that deal 2 from the Wyvern yet, so his dive to 5th chest and that all-important harp is going to end a little bit early. So we'll see how long it takes him to get back to that. There's still a lot of exploration to do. We've seen very little of this map so far. So I would not blame Vennicus here if he decided to just head off and look at some other stuff, try to gain some more levels. But we've got our first look at Charlock. It's at the end of this peninsula here. VaeluV has struck out and continued to explore to the west. And it just kind of dead ends over here, Charlock Castle on that peninsula. And other than that, looks like a lot of empty territory in this immediate vicinity for VaeluV. And lacking any other reasonable targets to this point, taking on this Wraith doesn't seem like a bad idea until it, too, shows not only Dragonlord 2 Breath, but also Sleep. And I saw that little hesitation there before VaeluV menued to the run. He just has to be thinking himself, what do you have to do to find something to fight in this seed? Despite this, agility has been good. VaeluV has 50 right now, so the exploration has not necessarily been hindered. We do see another as-yet unidentified cave on VaeluV's screen. This is the Rainbow Drop Cave. Vale gave us the Deke there, remembered that he did not have the harp traded in for the staff yet, of course, in Dragon Warrior. You need that silver harp, but only to trade it for the Staff of Rain, and once you have it, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's token, you can take those and trade them with the fellow, that guy, the wizard that we just saw on VaeluV's screen to get your Rainbow Drop, which will allow you access to Charlock Castle, the game's final dungeon. But we're not quite there yet, because we still need that staff. And here, VaeluV sees a stop spell from the Green Dragon and immediately swings. I can't say as I blame him, but unfortunately, on 39 attack power, nothing much doing there yet. And Vennicus has reached level 8. I did miss that at the time, but it looks like the stats didn't budge too much. By comparison, probably a point of agility, a point of strength. It's like 5 magic points and probably only 4 or 3 hit points because of the difference between builds here, 7 and 8. And Vennicus has started to stretch his experience points lead here. We're up to closer to about 150 now. But yeah, there are not many, as Betastrep points out in chat, there are not many viable routes here for experience, although one rather hit or miss route was possibly just seen on VaeluV's screen in that metal slime, but unfortunately it appears to be sharing living quarters with an armored knight. So he's gonna duck out of there. Probably a good call. But yeah, the routes for progressing here are so slim. Strength is very low, you have no offensive spells. You don't have access to a fairy water shop yet, you really just have torches. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is a new town on Vennicus' screen. It is Breckenary, so speaking of a fairy water shop, this is a bit of a play that you don't often see at level 8, but one wonders if just trying to find any source of offense, you maybe just take your pool of gold there, sell anything that isn't tacked down, and buy as much fairy water as possible. But he's just going to heal up here and continue exploring. I believe this is to the northeast, and VaeluV might have run out of real estate over here. As he continues to explore, Vennicus does find a new cave just to the west of Breckenary, and it is Mountain Cave. So we haven't seen this yet. If Erdrick's sword happens to be here, it will be a massive deal in this seed for Vennicus. Remember, we've only, I believe, seen one cursed belt to this point, so having seen now 2 search spots, or pardon me, having seen 1 search spot with Erdrick's armor, or not Erdrick's armor, I keep getting those confused. So, having seen 1 search spot, I will attempt the sentence again, that had Erdrick's token in coal. Sword could be here in Mountain Cave, but unfortunately this is the same zone as we've seen in Swamp Cave, so these armored knights are here to hound our runners as well. 50 agility, though, does present itself a decent chance to run, or as decent as you're gonna get against an armored knight. And here is our second cursed belt of the seed, top floor of Mountain Cave. Can Vennicus make it any further? He's been stopped once on his way to 5th Chest of Grave. Is he going to get stopped here in Mountain Cave as well? It does look like it. Sent back after only retrieving that cursed belt from top chest of Mountain Cave. And now we're seeing VaeluV just sit down and grind here west of Tanangel Castle. The Scorpions are actually pretty good. On 39 attack power. They go down pretty quickly, and we haven't really seen much else in the way of mid-game enemies that are even remotely viable. Ragnar, VaeluV, feeling a little bit luckier, is going to try to go after this Wyvern. The Wyvern isn't quite broken yet, unfortunately, so it's still going to cap out at around, I think, 14 damage. He's just shy of breaking it at 55 defense. But the DL2, of course, if he's down below 48, 48 or less, I should say, could take him out at any time, but he's looking to try to latch on to this level 8, which he will get here if he can survive, but no. That last swing did not take it out. The DL2 does 44 to send him back. It seems like not only have virtually all of the monsters rolled abilities today, but the ones that we're seeing most frequently have the most dangerous abilities. It's hard to think of anything that we've seen that isn't just a bit, at least a nuisance. Probably the Warlocks are what we're looking at for maximum experience output at the moment, and even they have heal more at their disposal, as I recall. Vennicus getting jammed up here as he continues to try to explore by this blue dragon. They're fortunately not especially dangerous, but they will do their level best to waste as much of your time as possible. And yeah, once you get Stop Spell, if you find those blues on a spike, they are basically free. They cast a lot, early and often. VaeluV trying to make his way through Swamp Cave, gets a first turn run from an Armored Knight. And of course these Drolls have the full Wombo combo as well. I'm not sure that he knew about that yet. The run of Resignation as yet another potential lifeline, and it's weird to think about the fact that a Droll might be a lifeline in a seed like this one. But even that says no. VaeluV choosing the opposite direction of Vennicus to explore Second Continent, and this also dead ends, which means Second Continent, to the best of my recollection, is entirely empty. Got nothing doing over here. So hazardous walk through Swamp Cave will ultimately prove a little bit fruitless. Here's a Droll Magi. I don't think we've seen this yet, so I'm going to say nothing about this fight. And wait to see what happens. Hey! If it has an ability, it at least didn't use it on that fight, and VaeluV is going to jump up to level 8. This is 1325 for him, and he'll pick up Radiant and Outside as well. Vennicus still holding about a 100 experience point lead. As you would expect, VaeluV decides, you know what? This is the first, only good monster I've seen all seed. I'm gonna stay right here. Tried to get another one. We also see a Drakima, which I don't believe we've seen yet to this point in the seed. If this happens to be in the same zone as the Droll Magi, this might be easily the best zone we've seen so far. Even with that Werewolf, they can run from those with some regularity, agility in the 50s. So VaeluV took a quick look. It appears as though he wants to continue looking, and he got dodged by this Droll. Possible slip there, just forgetting about that encounter in Swamp Cave. He'll get away. Got dueling skeleton fights on screen right now. Vennicus continuing to hold about 100 to 150 point experience lead. And it looks like we're in for the long haul in this one. Back attack DL2 there. VaeluV weighing his options against this Wyvern, which comes right back with another DL2 breath. Herb does not get him out of range, but the melee attack buys him some time. Not gonna work there either. Vennicus appears to have settled down here. Looked like I saw a skeleton in this zone. He's got a Magidrake as well. It's a little bit strange to think about here on level 8 with Erdrick's armor, but this might be also about one of the best zones we've seen so far. The Druin Lords do have DL2, so if they're in this zone, that's a pain. Particularly when you get run blocked once, because they appear to have more of a 50% DL2 breath than a 25% DL2 breath. So unfortunate for Vennicus there. VaeluV has confirmed that Second Continent is empty. And he's going to head back north. I wonder if he's going to think about trying to grind here a little bit more, or if he's just confirming. Yeah, here he is, taking the desert. He's going to see if he can find some of these high-value enemies that he saw earlier. He's going to make sure he's in the right zone, because he was in the forest tiles when he saw that Droll Magi earlier. And Vennicus, after that last death, has just decided to revert back to the south zone here. There are the warlocks. These can be taken out. Ah, this was Sleep. Weak Breath. I am interested in warlocks. Let's find out some more about them. That about squares with what we've seen. We've seen a lot of sleep from them. I don't know that I'd even noticed the breath. If I had, I'd already forgotten about it at this point. But VaeluV is going to take some fights against as many Droll Magis as he can find. They are broken, as you saw there. He was taking nominal damage, and with heal walking, that's pretty good. You've got the Drakeemas as a decent number 2 enemy in this zone. That's 2 swings and done most of the time. So actually pretty good experience there. And the Droll Magi look to be free. They'll cap, being broken, they'll cap out at 9 damage here, so you see a max swing there, unfortunately, in this fight. But with heal, and the heal walking, should at least be able to get a handful of these every cycle if he decides to come back here to continue grinding. Good crit there will speed things along, although I'm sure VaeluV will be wishing that had happened about 6 swings sooner in that fight. Experience point gap has held steady at about where it has been. Vennicus now 925, VaeluV 804. And as beggars cannot be choosers, VaeluV takes out that red slime. Vennicus now just a handful of experience points away. This Druin will push him over to level 9. Will there be any help on offer? We're about to find out. "14 power, that's pretty big. 6 speed, no hit points, 15 magic points, still no new spells. So we're lacking still 6 spells on level 9. And if Vennicus decides to stay here, which, to be honest, based on the enemy set that we've seen so far, might not even be that bad an idea, these fights will now start to go much faster on 49 attack power. This is usually 2 or 3 swings against the Warlocks. You can take the Druins out a slim margin of the time with 1 shot. And as a bonus, he's going to get a crit here against these DL2 Druin Lords, pick up a very snazzy 58 experience points. I'm not sure I realized the Blue Dragon was even in this zone, but if you stray just a little bit into the diagonal zone southeast of Tangential Castle, you do find these monsters here. Looks like Druin Lord Axe Knight Blue Dragon. But Vennicus is just trying to get through here. Demon Knight's probably in that zone as well. Makes his way across the bridge to the southeast. And VaeluV's managed to hold out here on this grind for a while now. The wolves are of course risky. They do have that Sleep Hurtmore combination. You can tank a couple of those Hurtmores, hopefully, with Erdrick's armor on. And I think he will get through this fight. Well, not quite yet. That was not a great swing. 6 damage, but this one will get it done, and as a consequence, VaeluV will pick up level 9. So he'll get his level 14, 6, 0, 15. Slightly different level as Vennicus, for the first time, lays eyes on Cantlin, so we might get a look at the coordinates here, and indeed we will. As Cantlin just off-screen, there was a little bridge there to the south of Garenham that led to this area of the map. And we do have a search spot. It is 38 north, 14 to the east. I admit I'm not 100% certain if the map layout is going to be conducive to making this count. I think this could be doable, and certainly, at least from our bird's eye perspective, knowing that we've got the Death Necklace, the Fairy Flute, and Erdrick's Sword out there, that 33% chance at grabbing hold of a sword certainly feels good right now. Of course, Vennicus does not have the Silver Harp that was found in the very last chest of grave. He was unceremoniously booted from grave before he was able to get that chest. 800 gold at Vennicus's disposal here. He's going to take a look at the Cantlin shops. And VaeluV says, you know what? I'm going to look around at the shop here too. Hand axe incoming for Vennicus. Unfortunately, no large shield available for VaeluV in Garenham. Looks like that's what he was looking for there. And he's going to start to explore again. So he has, at least for the moment, abandoned that second continent grind. It is pretty easily accessible now that they have the outside spell. They can hit that back door of Garenham and go through there anytime either runner wants to. But I think VaeluV might be the only of the two runners who knows about that specific zone, so... but VaeluV feeling like he needs to get some exploration done here. And again, the experience points have held basically steady. Still about a 100-point lead for Vennicus. This Demon Knight fight, not exactly optimal, but when you're dealing with the rest of the enemies we've seen this seed, honestly, you take what you can get. Damage against this DK right now, I think, sitting in a range of about 5 to 10. And he is going to take this one out for 90 experience points. That's absolutely nothing to sneeze at in this seed. Anytime you can pull down some experience, it's looking like you're going to need to. So he's going to keep checking this zone out. We've got a skeleton here too. I think the boundary is really close to this, so it's possible we're looking at two different zones on Vennicus's screen. Either way, he's found something that looks like it could be very viable. Drakima, Magidraki skeleton. He can take those out pretty quickly. But here he's going to get a free resource refill courtesy of this Axe Knight as VaeluV in his exploration. I believe this is up north of where Grave and Cole were, has found Tablet Cave. So one chest available here, no enemy encounters. Does have the outside spell, so we'll get a free trip back outside once he checks this chest. We've still got a fair few things out there that might be helpful. Erdrick's Sword chief among them. This is a Dragon Scale. Not amazing, but worth 2 defense. That said, both of our runners already have one, so not exactly what you're looking for here. Having taken his Death Warp, Vennicus is now starting to count out the coordinates. And I think he'll at least have a reference point here. That's a point you can cross to if you head further east of Garenham, if I recall correctly. So it looks like he's going to take a note about where he is right now. And see which way he needs to go in order to continue his count. I believe this passage for Vennicus will end up in a dead end. Just some desert that tails off into some mountains to the northwest here. Ooh, and our second metal slime spotted of the seed for VaeluV. And well, I don't really know what we were expecting. That said, it always catches you a little off guard. So, here we are. Metal Slimes have Dragon Lord 2 Breath, because of course they do. I think that was something like... If you're not sure what kind of seed we're in, right now, VaeluV is attempting a round a 9-swing fight against a wizard. Unfortunately, was not able to finish that one off. But if you're just joining us now, 53 minutes into a seed, this has been a real struggle for both players, despite a relatively early Erdrick's armor in the back of Garenham. The strength has remained low, there haven't been many good weapons on offer, both of our runners have a hand axe, but the attack power is still just in the 50s, and the enemy set has been absolutely brutal. Lots of hurt more out there, lots of sleep, DL2 breath on a lot of the mid-game enemies that you might otherwise like to fight, so it's been very slim pickings in terms of finding grinds and getting levels. We saw, I think, only one decent zone that even had some hazards in it, a Sleep Hurtmore Wolf on Second Continent that VaeluV had been grinding for a while. But other than that, very, very tough sledding, trying to pick up any experience points in this seed. Vennicus has made his first trip to Remulder. He had been trying to count, but perhaps has abandoned that pursuit for the moment, as he continues to explore, also possibly looking for that reference point that he had earlier. He does have some gold at his disposal, so he's going to take a look at this shop. Nothing much there. I don't think we've seen a large shield all seed, just silver shields basically all over the place. And unfortunately, VaeluV, or we did see a large shield. Where was that large shield? I totally missed that. From Cole, okay. I did not see that there on the first pass. I thought it was just a bunch of armor. So thank you for getting that. And is that even? Oh goodness. Axe Knights also have Dragon Lord 2 Breath. At this point, you're basically crossing your fingers for stop spell and hoping that a blue dragon is on a spike tile somewhere. Because that's at least one potential spike tile enemy that is not exactly optimal. Of course, that could change as the stats continue to progress, but we need to get to a point where we can pull down any experience first for that to happen. And I think that's our first look at the Harp Trade-In Cave just here. It looks like west of Remulder. But of course, Vennicus does not have that harp yet. It's still sitting at the bottom of the grave in its vanilla location. And VaeluV says, you know what? Got a little bit better of a bead on this fight now. He's gonna try to slug it out against this wizard. Likewise, Vennicus taking a crack at the Rogue Scorpion, but Rogue Scorpions have immense agility and therefore immense defense. So it's virtually impossible to start damaging them in any meaningful way until you're at least in the 70s on attack power. That said, this Wraith is broken, and we've seen very few of them this seed. And it looks like it might actually be a decent target. Although I shouldn't have said that, I now realize, because I probably cursed it. Do Wraiths have DL2? It's probably safe for me to assume at this point that basically any enemy that we maybe saw earlier in the seed had DL2, and I just lost track. It's probably easier to list the enemies that don't have DL2, which to my knowledge include the Slime, and the Drakima, and the Droll Magi. There we have it on screen, thank you Beta. 50% sleep, I didn't even know about that one. 50% sleep, 50% DL2. Sure, why not? So, VaeluV has managed to close the gap here a little bit. We're virtually on level terms in experience. Vennicus has seen his lead drop to about 30 experience points. The next level does show up at 1500. So we're only a little bit away from seeing whether or not level 10 will give us any hope of speeding up this mid-game. Now almost an hour into this seed. If you're just joining us, the monsters in this seed have been an absolute menace. Sleep, Hurtmore, Dragonlord, True Breath, basically everywhere. And not really enough strength to try to take on the things that might not have abilities. That said, this Spectre just has Weak Breath, so it's actually not too bad right now. It is broken as well, and with Erdrick's armor, of course, it's gonna cap out at about 10 damage with that Weak Breath. This will be VaeluV's first look at Mountain Cave. Vennicus has been here as well, but unfortunately there was, I believe, an Armor Knight in this zone, which we've already seen in Swamp Cave, so we knew it would be here. This first chest is a Cursed Belt. We'll see if VaeluV has any better luck trying to dive further into Mountain Cave than Vennicus did on his first attempt. Yes, unfortunately that Wyvern with DL2 is the reason that Vennicus does not have the Silver Harp right now, at least part of the reason. They were located in that next to last, or pardon me, I guess the third floor of Grave, technically speaking. Sniped Vennicus on his way down toward that last chest, and that's what caused him to miss his harp get. But yeah, so far as the middle tier, we've got those Spectres with Weak Breath, but everything else, the Wolves have Sleep, Heal, Hurt More. Wraiths have full Wombo. I don't think we've seen many Wolf Lords, so I'm not sure if they have anything, but the Druid Lords have DL2. The Droll Magi look like they're really the only safe, what you'd call mid-tier monster that we've seen so far. Yeah, and I think the one Wolf Lord we saw was before we could fight them, so I don't know if we got a real good look at them. The Magi Wyverns are indeed... You know what, I'm not even sure I should be saying anything. The first time we've seen Magi Wyvern sleep? Unreal. That said, it does appear to be a low percentage sleep. So this isn't a half bad idea, I don't think, from either racer to try to take these on, as VaeluV gets level 10, 417, 07, hurt, return. Saw the arrow there at the bottom. You think maybe that can only be one of a handful of spells at this point. Fairy Flute in that first chest off the stairs for VaeluV. He did get top 2. But hurt, frankly, will help a lot. If you run into something like a Rogue Scorpion, you can take those out with 3 or 4 hurts. Often 3. And with 78 defense power with a large shield now for VaeluV, breaking virtually everything outside of Charlock and definitely minimizing the damage they'd take against something like a Demon Knight. So there is some more stuff on the table now that they might possibly be able to fight, and the Magi Wyvern you can see here on 78 defense is also broken, so the only non-Charlock enemy that isn't just yet is that DK, the Demon Knight. Just gold in 5th Chest of Grave, so only interesting item, possibly interesting item, is the Fairy Flute. We find a Golem on a Spike Tile. That flute could definitely come in handy. Vennicus finding out the bad news about these Wraiths will get sent back to start. VaeluV does have a decent chunk of change at his disposal now, almost 2,500 gold, so that's well more than you need to afford a broadsword if he knows where one happens to be. At the moment, he's just trying to get back to Breckenary. Whether or not there is a broadsword here, I'm not sure, but at minimum, you've got the 6 gold in, so he'll at least get to refresh his resources and continue exploring. VaeluV now has full cleared grave and mountain cave, so not much else to see. He knows that the sword and the death necklace are both still out there. The only spot he's got left to look, in the overworld at least, are Hawksness and Cantlin for those overworld coordinates. And of course we've seen 2 cursed belts at this point. So at least, and we know that the coordinates exist. So the sword could be sitting out there, that could also be the death necklace. The Breckenary shop is not very useful. For the first time in, I believe, a very, very long time, VaeluV does now have an experience points lead over Vennicus. Has a little bit of an exploration lead too, having cleared both of the 2 main dungeons. Vennicus will probably continue to look around for a while, trying to find that silver harp. May end up last locationing it. Very common thing to have happen if you orphan the last chest of grave. But here we see a great enemy on Vennicus' screen, and he is going to take the appropriate route and throw some hurts at this rogue scorpion. Meanwhile, VaeluV, first trip into Hawksness we've seen all seed. And that's a Drakemaw? So I wonder if the Hawksness zone isn't that good zone that we saw with the Droll Magi earlier. However, we're not going to get a look at it because Vale's just going to continue north. He's still looking for Cantlin and those coordinates. Without a sleep or a stop spell, something to mitigate some of the things we've seen from some potential spike tile enemies so far, not much on a spike tile beatable right now for VaeluV, so he's going to keep going. This green dragon is the first green dragon we've seen all seed, however, and it does seem to like it some stop spells. Of course, with Erdrick's armor, stop spell cannot land, so those are all just wasted turns for the green dragon. The only thing VaeluV has to do is cross his fingers and hope the green isn't packing a heal spell in the back pocket there. Or I guess I take that back. No, he's got stop spells, so the green dragon can have a heal spell. I misspoke. And that is a basically free 130 experience points for VaeluV. Not a fast fight by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, the options have been so limited that that is probably by far the best enemy we have seen so far this seed. Yes, so to respond to Crump's brother in chat, there's basically 2 spell slots that each monster can have. One of them is more or less an attack slot in which a monster might get hurt more, weak breath, or Dragonlord 2 breath. The other slot is kind of the priority slot. The game will check that one first to see if that ability is used. It's kind of what I usually refer to as the utility slot because all the other spells are there. It could have sleep, stop spell, heal, or heal more. So if an enemy has stop spell, it's guaranteed not to have a healing spell behind it. And that's really useful information because that means our racers in this situation can just tee off on these green dragons without having to worry about much. And Vennicus now knows about it too, so both of our runners have this knowledge, and if there's a green dragon anywhere on a spike tile, it is completely neutralized. You want to keep that knowledge about the blue dragon in the back pocket too, because once they get stop spell, those will be essentially neutralized. But certainly a green dragon spike would be most welcome in this seed. Vennicus looks like he might just decide to hang out in this zone a little bit. He's explored most of this particular section of the map, and now that he has a bead on these green dragons, is just going to stay put. Our next level, of course, is at 2175. So VaeluV less than 100 experience points away. Vennicus will be very close after he finishes off this green dragon. If you're just settling in, hope your day is going well. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Betastrep's doing all the tracking for us today. I'm Archfield Monk. We're about an hour and 10 minutes into this seed as VaeluV picks up level 11. 4 power, 5 speed, 3 hit points, 5 magic points, and sleep. Sleep can definitely come in handy. It's at least going to give our racers another possibility to try to clear a spike tile. Certainly do not have enough attack power to grind a stone man yet, but if they wanted to try to barrel through one with that sleep spell, they could certainly give it a shot. VaeluV being waylaid by that DL2 metal slime, at least momentarily. You see our on-screen tracker there will highlight values in different colors when they reach certain thresholds, and certainly 81 agility on level 11 is quite high. Much, well above average, I should say. Of course, VaeluV is running a strength agility build. You see those plus signs in his side of the tracker. That's indicating that his name gives a slight bonus to agility. Vennicus running strength HP, so he'll have a slight bonus to his hit points. And Vennicus has decided to stick it out here, and as you see, his resources have not depleted very much despite several green dragon fights. These, of course, 58 attack power is not great. It's not normally where you'd see people being engaged in fighting green dragons. This is, I think, 5 to 10 damage on 58 attack power. So that would put you at somewhere like an 8 swing fight on average, with a pretty big error bar to the north of that. And of course, just 4 power here on level 11. That'll help a little bit. Anytime you get a chunk of 4 power, you know that moves both of your damage values by 1 point. So now we're looking at, I think, 6 to 11. Probably 6 to 12, actually. But having taken out that last green dragon, Vennicus is going to continue exploring. Thing is, I don't know that he has much left to find. I think we're still missing... somebody help remind me if we're missing anything. Have we seen the Stones of Sunlight Cave yet? I think everything else at least one runner has seen. It had the stones. That's right, it was in the basement of Tanager Castle, that's right. So we actually had that knowledge right at the beginning of the seed because we had a double key start with gold. So our runners were able to buy full keys and get the Stones of Sunlight right away. So we've had a Not quite vanilla grave. It wasn't under Garanham, but the grave did have harp in the 5th chest. And Vennicus has jumped back out here to a little bit of an experience point lead. A lot of this at this point will come down to encounters. I think both racers at this point have a really good idea of what they can fight and what they can't fight. So they're going to start to optimize their strategies a little bit, figure out which enemies they're going to take on, which ones they're going to duck. They have enough agility that they can run from many things. So it's really just a matter of getting that last bit of exploration done. Vennicus is in Tablet Cave. I believe this was just a dragon scale, and Vennicus has already got one of those. Unfortunately, what he doesn't have is enough magic points to outside back out of here, so he's going to have to walk this back out. Let's see, VaeluV's back into Mountain Cave. I have to believe this is setting up a gold grind because to the best of my knowledge he has already full cleared this dungeon, so all he has to do is pull 2 chests and he would be able to grind up some money. And I think Vale just found out about the Wombo Wraiths. Fortunately, does manage to survive there. These 2 chests I had missed earlier, they were both gold. So if indeed VaeluV is setting up for a gold grind, he has a pretty good head start. He's got 5,000 in his pocket already. He'll lose half of that upon the death, of course. But that's at least 3 or 4 chest grabs that he won't have to do. Oh, okay. That was actually just a quick skim, it appears. That's a little bit surprising. Just casts outside there. Oh, there wasn't gold in Tanagel. That would be the reason why. So this appears to be the Mountain Cave slow grind for VaeluV. I had not actually realized I had loaded the wrong ROM in the tracker at the beginning of the seed, so I completely missed Treasury. And chat and beta were keeping our heads above water here while I corrected my error. So I actually completely failed to realize that gold grind was not on the table. The thing is, this top zone is very dangerous. An Armored Knight can end this real fast for Vale, so if he wants to pull 2 gold chests a pass, this is going to take a while depending on what he's headed toward. I don't know if we know where a Flame Sword is. That's certainly more within range. Definitely than a Silver Shield, which would take quite a few trips back and forth here. So Vennicus has had... I'm starting to wonder, because Vennicus has had the coordinates at his disposal for a while now. And it does look like it is countable with the landmark that he looked like he was taking earlier. But I don't think he's counting right now. And he's going to head up here to Hawksness. I think this is Vennicus' first look at Hawksness, actually. Had not been this direction yet. Looks like the spike tile in Hawksness is an Armored Knight. Unless this has some very weak ability that we have not seen to this stage, this is not a winnable fight on 62 attack power. really one of the last enemies that you wanted to see here. This would be about, just ballparking it, probably a 13 swing fight against an Armored Knight right now, and certainly you don't have the hit points to tank many hits, at least in Vennicus's case, 67 defense points. So you couldn't even DL2 strat that fight and hope to come away with a victory against that tile. So I think this answers our question. VaeluV does have enough money for a flame sword. To my knowledge, I at least, perhaps chat or beta have seen a flame sword somewhere else in the seed, but Vael is deciding to continue going, so I guess this has to be a Silver Shield slow grind out of Mountain Cave. I suppose if Vennicus were really invested in trying to fight that Armored Knight, probably the best strategy would be to use Fairy Water. I could see him clearing it that way, but you would still have to get some reasonable luck. Vennicus earlier had been ejected from Mountain Cave on the top floor by one of those Armored Knights that's lurking up there. Here on the bottom floor, he's being waylaid by this Wraith. I don't think he remembered about the DL2, but he is going to swing through here. Managed to survive. So he'll get his flute. Of course, as we have seen on several occasions now, only thing left in these chests is gold. So Vennicus will have Mountain Cave cleared, he'll have 4 chests in Grave cleared. Now, with Tablet and the Remolder chest, and of course the early Stones Cave clear, that means there's only 1 chest left as well as 2 search spots. The Hawksness tile, as well as the Overworld search coordinates. So for Vennicus' sake, I hope that he returns to that count soon. It does look like it should be countable, and that definitely would be a boost if it happens to be Sword. We know it is now limited to the Sword or the Death Necklace on that Overworld search tile. The Sword would be most welcome in this seed. VaeluV has a decision to make here. The Magiwyvern tossing out a rare Sleep. It is broken right now. And you've got a 7 and 8 shot to sleep a Magiwyvern, so of course that didn't work. As VaeluV tries to get away. He has nominal resources left, and in fact, no longer has the MP to cast outside. So he's going to get this gold chest here. He will still be a little bit short, about 1,000 gold short of a silver shield, and he's going to have to walk this back out of Mountain Cave. That said, the experience lead has swung back as Vael has continued to do this slow gold grind out of Mountain Cave. Vennicus now has about a 300 experience point lead, and with the HP where it is, Vennicus, I've noticed, swinging a little bit more often at those enemies that he knows to have DL2 breath. He's not as worried about those. He knows he can tank 1 breath at least with Erdrick's armor, and if he can find space to wedge in a couple of swings, he can take out things like Wyverns and Druin Lords, which is probably good policy at this point. VaeluV, meanwhile, has 1 more dip through Mountain Cave if he wants Silver Shield money, and an Armored Knight here on the top floor. He gets the first turn run, but this is now in very dangerous territory if he wants to hang on to this gold. Meanwhile, Vennicus into Swamp Cave. He had seen most of Second Continent earlier, so I suspect this is a spike check, and in fact that is the case. We've got Armored Knights on both spike tiles. This is really not great. Like, really, really not great. So, presumably, that was a check to see if he could rescue the princess and finish off his count. And that Armored Knight may have dissuaded him. So now what is the play for Vennicus? A lot could swing in this race based on what he does here next. VaeluV, meanwhile, has his Silver Shield money, but has to get off of top floor. Does have 81 agility, so is around a coin flip to run from those Armored Knights. And yeah, I think the chat has pointed it out, but those green dragons are just so optimal in a seed like this one. It would really benefit either of our racers if they were to just plant themselves in a green dragon zone and stay there for as long as their resources lasted and then continue to do so going forward. There are some dangerous enemies in this zone still for VaeluV to escape, but fortunately he does, and he is going to tote all of that hard-earned gold into Garenham to pick up a Silver Shield, now at 90 defense. Has maximized his defense, and a Silver Shield can be really helpful, especially when you're running a Strength Agility build. It just kind of maximizes the bonus that you get from that stat here on level 11. So there's a really good shot that VaeluV, in fact even now, is breaking 4 enemies in Charlock, and there's a pretty decent shot that he'll be breaking even more of it by the time the strength catches up to the rest of the stats here. So certainly that would be that could come in handy, especially at the end of this seed. Yeah, as Beta points out in chat, we could, the next enemy that would be broken here would be the Axe Knight. But since they have DL2, that's somewhat less advantageous than it might normally be. Vennicus has expanded the experience lead to about 500 points now. He is rapidly approaching level 12. Nice crit there for Vennicus against that Wyvern is going to give him what he needs, 3,000 experience points, to get to level 12. Hey, look at that, 28 power, 2 speed, 12 hit points, 12 magic points, and hurt more. All of a sudden, the whole world opens up before Vennicus. He can fight a lot of stuff he couldn't fight before. And this in-trip to Remulder will set him well on his way to doing a lot of what he wants, but VaeluV's hot on his tail, only about 350 experience points shy after this Wyvern kill. Good application of sleep there to run that fight out for VaeluV. We'll only need to do a little bit more grinding. And of course, remember, VaeluV has that harp. Last Chest of Grave, Vennicus had to abandon that earlier, was forced to, I should say, by that Wyvern. Got him before he could get there. And now VaeluV has finally found that harp trade-in cave. He's going to be the first of our runners to pick up all 3 quest items. And VaeluV has knowledge of the Rainbow Drop cave as well, not far from start. Now that Vennicus has Hurtmore, he's headed straight back into Swamp Cave. One assumes that this will be the Princess Rescue. He has no other locations to find, but he does need to get those coordinates. VaeluV, his missing knowledge at this point are those overworld search coordinates. Only items we have left to look for, of course, are the Death Necklace and Erdrick's Sword. Either of those could prove handy before all is said and done here. Level 12 does get us much closer to our strength goal, but without Erdrick's Sword, still quite lacking in the attack power department, at least when considering the endgame. So Vennicus headed straight to the Armored Knight. Gonna uncork that Hurtmore for the first time. against one of these high-value targets. And he might just stay here for a little bit. Yep, looks like we're going to be on at least one segment of an Armored Knight grind here for Vennicus. You're down here anyway if you plan to rescue the princess, if the plan is to rescue the princess. Then this is a good pit stop. Oh, unfortunately VaeluV takes a death to that Wraith. Just under 200 experience points shy of level 12, which we know is so important in this seed. So, Vennicus has rescued Princess Gwaelin. Does have outside in return, so returning Gwaelin home will be elementary. Vale poked his head in Tablet there, and hopefully for his sake, it was very early in the seed. It was easily an hour ago or more that he first saw the Rainbow Drop Cave, so for his sake, I hope that he still has that on his radar, knows where he's going to find that. Has to be said, VaeluV's been pretty hard done by sleep against wyverns in this seed. That's another miss! Oh my goodness! That was 2 in this fight alone, including that one that he had earlier. Wyverns only have, I believe... Goodness, I even forgot what I was talking about. I saw a ping in Discord. It's 25, I believe. 25% resist. I'm bringing up the thing to confirm this now. It's something I should know off the top of my head, but I don't. Yeah, it's 1/4 resist. Magi Wyverns, interestingly, have half that. They have 1/8 resist. So the Wyverns actually have a better sleep resist than the Magi Wyverns do. Yeah, and as you see there on screen, that is a 50% DL2 Breath Wyvern. That clocks. And of course, the sleep resists are unrandomized, at least in this flag set. So those will be the same across the board all of the time. It's only stop spell resist that has different caps for different monsters, so you might get some randomization there. There's a ping of the GPS for Vennicus, and he finds himself standing one spot next to Erdrick's sword. So there we go, a 25 attack power jump from that hand axe up to the big stick, 115 attack power now for Vennicus, and that puts basically anything that we've seen in the seed that doesn't have DL2 breath squarely on the table. So Hawksness, we've seen 2 cursed belts. It might have something, it might not. If it does, it's going to be the Death Necklace. Where the HP is right now, you don't necessarily expect to need or want the Death Necklace. But that's not to say the game won't throw us a curveball. This seed certainly has been just one off-speed pitch after another. Yeah, that's the big missing piece of information. Aaron has the right of it in chat. Vale actually has not seen Cantlin yet, and I believe it is just south of Start. There's a little bridge there, and if you miss that bridge, then I think that's the only route to access Cantlin. And here we do see the Death Necklace is indeed on the Hawksness search tile. So Vennicus has done all of the searching he needs to do for the seed, except he still doesn't have that harp, but I think he now has full knowledge of the seed and therefore knows that the harp must be 4th Chest of Grave. He's going to go ahead and take a pass at these Armored Knights while he's got the resources to do it. VaeluV has just collected that all-important level 12, big stat boost across the board and hurt more. Vennicus now just 5 experience points actually away from the next level, here on 14. And I almost spoke too soon because that Hurtmore would have given him level 14, but the Armored Knight decided to be a nuisance and ducked it. But this one does land. Or actually, had Vennicus already gotten level 13 and I just blanked? Is it 41? Yes, I always do that. Level whatever is 2175, and level 13 is 4125, and I always get the 25 and the 75 backwards. So Vennicus already had the next level. Whoops. Looks like some decent HP and MP gains there. Agility's in the green on level 13. Even on a not agility build. But Vennicus, out of resources, just going to take the death here, and he has now built up about a 1300 experience point lead over VaeluV. So the big difference here between our runners right now is that VaeluV had the harp and has already traded it for the staff. And I think he is rapidly closing in. Well, no, I misread the map there a little bit. Still looking to trade all of his 3 quest items for the drop, but Vennicus, you can see now making a beeline toward Graves, so he knows he's got his only check left. Is that last chest of Grave, and he can plow through a lot of the monsters that might have given him trouble on his last dive, now that he's got Erdrick's Sword and Hurtmore. So this should be a pretty quick harp grab for Vennicus. And we're finally in the home stretch of this one after so much of a struggle to get to this point. Stats are actually looking pretty decent on level 13. Likely not too much of a grind to get to full-on go mode after all of your items have been gathered. Vennicus, I believe, did see chest number 4. If I'm wrong about that, somebody can correct me in chat, but I think it was just the last chest that he has not seen. Vennicus, if Vennicus had managed to track down a large shield anywhere, I don't think he's seen one yet. He would be breaking this wizard right now, but unfortunately, still going shieldless. He's going to take a little bit of damage in that fight, but it's still a good one to take, and now VaeluV taking full advantage of that increased power on level 12 to take out a red dragon. That's a big jump for him. 350 experience points. And Vennicus rather rapidly has reached bottom of grave and has gotten his silver harp. As long as he knows where his trades are located and can remember, he will have access to his rainbow drop shortly, so the only thing left then for him might be a shield pickup if he knows where a large shield is. And the final grind, to get himself ready to assault Charlock Castle. Meanwhile, VaeluV still has not seen Caitlin. and he might just be looking for Caitlin right now. One hopes at least that he has not lost a bead on the Rainbow Drop Cave. But those are his 2 remaining tasks. Of course, he can take on the Hawksnest Spike tile whenever he wants now. So he has access to that check as well. But that's basically the lay of the land as we sit here, an hour 38 into this one. It's been a pretty rough one if you've been here with us the whole way. You know all too well what we've been dealing with. Lots of DL2 breath, sleep, and hurt more out there. Not great stats through the first 11 levels. But things have caught up quickly and our racers are now in the final stretch, just have some last homework and exploration to do. VaeluV is going to get a look at the Hawksnest Spike tile. And he's just going to melee his way through this one. Or at least try to. Maybe going to try to take a couple swings first and then apply the Hurt More just in case. Yeah, he'll get one swing out there and then fire off a Hurt More. It's not quite enough damage to get the job done. So he's just going to try to make sure he does it, and does. Armor Knight is cleared. That will actually be level 13 for VaeluV as well. About 1,000 experience points separate our racers. Agility continues to pour in for VaeluV on that agility build, and he'll get his Death Necklace, and now has to decide what to do next. Looks like he's going to herb up here and try to take at least a couple more of these Armor Knights before he has to jump ship. And Vennicus, I think, is having trouble hunting down a large shield. He did take a peek here at the Remulder shop, came away empty. Werewolves do have Hurt More, and 2 of those are going to send VaeluV home, but he was out of resources anyway, so this is probably all well and good. Vennicus picks up the Staff of Rain, so now hot on the heels, and basically we're all square where it comes to exploration, except that Vale still doesn't have Caitlin the coordinates and therefore the sword. And Vennicus now, with about an 1,000 experience point lead, does look like he has a pretty decent advantage in the seed. Yeah, and at this point, with the number of caves Vale has checked, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's not quite sure where he left Rainbow Drop Cave. We actually see it on Vennicus' screen right now. That's where the location is. But it was, I think, literally the first thing that Vale saw after Garanham. So it's been quite a while now, probably an hour, 20 hour, 30 minutes since VaeluV saw Rainbow Drop Cave. So it's not at all shocking that he might still be out there looking for it. Vennicus has picked up level 14. This will be 517. No magic points. And Vennicus, despite having to leave Harp down there at the bottom of Grave for so long, is the first of our racers to obtain the Rainbow Drop. He's going to hit that immediate return button, and we'll see if he's picked out a grind. He's of course only got 2 spike tiles available to him. Both of them are Armored Knights. So if you're looking for a tile, not much in the way of options, but at least the one here in the back of Garanham is close to home. So he's going to heal up and presumably head down into Swamp Cave. The only potential barrier to this would be the number of keys that he has left, depending on the number of grind cycles that he needs. But with 84 magic points, you can pull a decent amount of experience out of an Armored Knight tile in one phase. 121 attack power, so certainly if he wishes to swing and hurt more, that's better than a coin flip to kill an Armored Knight in most cases. So you could try to conserve some resources that way as well. I do get a peek there at Vennicus's item screen, he only has one key left, so he will need to keep an eye on that if he requires more than one trip to this tile. Yeah, I think as Aaron points out in chat, I think Vennicus was trying to pick up a few hit points before he stepped back on the spike, but the Armored Knight said, nah, you just get over here, we're gonna fight right now. VaeluV has made his way back to the Rainbow Drop Cave, so he now has his Rainbow Drop. All that separates our runners is that Erdrick's sword. VaeluV has yet to find Cantlin, and of course Vennicus has now 1,000 experience point lead and better, and that might continue to grow depending on how long it takes Vale to find Cantlin. It's actually just to the south of where VaeluV is right now, but he has not been that direction yet. Next level for Vennicus is at 7,500 experience points even. And there is a key here in the back of Garenham. I wasn't actually looking to see if Vennicus grabbed that on his way through, but there is the free key, so if you know this is your grind, you can grab that every time through. As VaeluV just did. Looks like the grind is also coming to VaeluV early. There are, of course, Armored Knights in this zone of Swamp Cave. And Vennicus is going to get one. I'm not sure if he was planning to retreat back to Garenham for the heal, or if you know what his plan was there, but he's not going to get wherever he was going. As VaeluV now also going after the Spike Tile in Swamp Cave. So Vennicus did not buy more keys. This is his last key. So unless he remembers this key in the chest, and he doesn't, that actually could be really bad for Vennicus. Remulder isn't very far away, but you still don't want to have to make this trip for his sake. We'll hope for him at least that this is the last time he needs to come down here to Swamp Cave, but that doesn't necessarily seem likely. Still needs a little bit of everything to try to get this to come together for a possible Charlock dive. Certainly nowhere near Death Necklace territory, unlikely to reach it in one level on 92 HP. But this could equalize things a little bit if Vennicus needs to grind again. You can of course go to Hawksness too, it's the same tile, but it is a little bit of a longer walk away. You would just have to heal it, I think, Breckenary instead. So his route from here, depending on if he needs to take some more experience, could be interesting. One more Armored Knight will do it for Vennicus. VaeluV, of course, now on level 14. So both of our racers on the hunt for level 15. We'll see how much closer we are being ready to dive Charlotte Castle. Here it comes, level 15 for Vennicus. 2 power, 3 speed, 11 hit points, 9 magic points. So the HP is up above that 97 threshold, which is where you like to see it. But on 123 attack power, still not quite there. You of course like to see the agility where it is. Anything above 80 is very welcome for any Charlock dive. Vennicus working without a shield, though, does not quite have the full benefit of that agility. He'd be breaking at least wizards at this point if he had one, but he hasn't been able to track one down so far, since he's had money. VaeluV feeling the heat of this seed perhaps opts to return out of the throne room and is going to head, it looks right back to Garenham. Refill those herbs. We'll see if he heads out to explore again to try to find Caitlin, or if he's going to head back into the basement for another grind phase on these armored knights. Vennicus looks like he's got one more armored knight on this trip. And then he might get the bad news if he tries to come back again that he has run out of magic keys. He is going to try to walk this out again. The odds of getting back to the entrance, maybe not amazing. But he has heal walked enough that he should have a full pool of HP. He gets stopped by an armored knight. Nearly full anyway, and at least at the moment, since he made it back out, he doesn't actually need that key. He can go back to the inn heal and just walk back into Swamp Cave. So, sigh of relief there, although he might not be aware of it yet. At least for our part, we know that he can head right back down into the basement of Garenham and continue grinding without needing to go fish a key out of somewhere else, or instead just abandon it for Hawksness. VaeluV making his way back to the tile. Looks like we've got roughly 2,000 experience points or so of separation between the two. That's actually closer to 1,500, I would say, at the moment. Probably right about that. Beta Strep, mathing that out to about 8 armored knights. 9750 is the next level, 16 for Vennicus. 7500 is the next level, 15 for VaeluV. As Aaron points out in chat, it's really interesting how the kind of two main changes in version 3 of the randomizer have shifted the way we tend to think about grinds in the meta sense. You've got green dragons available now, which themselves are a very interesting grind because there's a variety of different ways you can try to take them on, none of which are guaranteed, but at least can be useful. You can put them to sleep with some regularity. You can use Hurt More against them with some regularity. You only have 1 in 8 resist. But in addition to that, you have now golems and red dragons both worth 350 experience points, which is a huge deal. And so Armored Knights, I don't think were a particularly good grind in the first place if you could help it. But now, especially, with just 172 for roughly the same strength as a Red Dragon, not exactly high value, so much as they were perhaps in the past. VaeluV now on level 15. And it looks like our ultimate experience gap is going to land somewhere in that 1500 or so range when you account time for refills that both runners will need to take. And VaeluV used outside to head back to the staircase. Actually, North Swamp, so this won't spit him out at Garenham. He'll have to walk to the south entrance to get back into Garenham and refill. Vennicus, I believe, has enough resources left. Yeah, should easily have enough resources left, cross your fingers, since I just cursed it, to get level 16 during this trip to the Spike Tile. In fact, this Armored Knight right here would do the job. Swing and a hurt more, and 172 experience points and level 16 for Vennicus. 1 power, 1 speed, 3 hit points, 2 magic points. I dare say that does not move the needle. Yeah, Beta, underwhelming might be an understatement. That was... wow. Whew. Okay, well, 16 in it. I think we can safely say that. And as Aaron and Beta both point out in chat, we're looking at 18 rounds right now on 124. 11 heal mores, no possibility for doubles, so yeah, this ain't it. Vennicus, fortunately, as I've mentioned a couple times now, doesn't have any keys left, but he's been able to walk this back out of Swamp Cave and get to the inn to heal back up to come back down for more grinding each time. Level 17 will show up at 12,000 flat. So a little bit of a ways away. Still need the stats to pick up a bit. You could see a marginal strength gain plus some fairy water perhaps providing the juice that our runners would need in order to do this, but they need some more magic points along with that, in all likelihood. Of course, a big HP gain, which is... could put Vennicus into Death Necklace range. He really only needs about 20 more hit points to begin considering it. But VaeluV, of course, is running Strength Agility, so he's going to have lower hit points at the end of the day here than Vennicus will. Likely not to be an issue as far away as we are from that range, but you never know. You can get a big chunk of HP dropped on you at just about any time, even on level 17. And it does look like the 1500 experience point gap has basically calcified here. I think we'll see, unless there's a grind death from either of our runners, it looks like Vennicus does have pole position as we continue to grind our way toward Charlock viability. Thanks so much if you joined us for this one. I know our runners appreciate it. If you haven't yet given either of them a follow, they have demonstrated all of the courage and wit today, trying to get through this seed. as difficult as it was in the middle game and the early game, and to at least some extent the late game. Didn't really break open until level 13, or 12 or 13, when Hurtmore and a bunch of attack power finally showed up. Quick shout out to Beta Strep, who's tracking for us today. Thank you, Beta. Appreciate it. So 1,000 experience points left for Vennicus. It's got 30 MP left. Is he gonna get there? Before he has to go back out and get some more resources. He has gone to swing and hurt more strats more frequently, which I think is a good plan in general. Anytime you're over 120 attack power, those pay off pretty well in terms of resource conservation. Spending a little bit of HP to keep 5 MP instead of having to double hurt more, so that's always useful. We've seen VaeluV opt to use some herbs on each trip so he can stay down there a little bit longer. That helps stretch out your grind phase a little bit too and conserve some resources, so we've seen some varying strategies for handling this particular grind from both of our racers. And yeah, it does look like, at least at the moment, this back attack might damage these prospects, but Vennicus, if he decides, if this Hurtmore lands and he gets this Armored Knight, he could decide to herb and try to melee his way through the last one here to get the level, but he's just going to walk it back out. Yeah, I think using the herbs and getting the level would have been optimal there, Beta Strep. I think that's what I would have chosen to do, because if it's go, you can just take the death and then leave for Charlock. But in this case, Vennicus may be thinking he needs more than one level, so he's going to walk back out. It was actually kind of dangerous there, because of course he's without keys now. I'm not sure that he knows that, but we do. But he's going to get to walk back to the inn and head back down. Meantime, VaeluV rapidly closing on a level 16. Vennicus does not even have, so drained of resources, he does not even have enough MP left for Repel before his inn stay. But he needs only one Armored Knight to get to level 17. VaeluV needs only one Armored Knight and gets it to get to level 16. Even more underwhelming for VaeluV, who's running Strength Agility, didn't quite get the hit point, the minor, very minor hit point pickup that Vennicus got on 16. So here we go. We'll know a lot more about what we need to do next. Probably after this next swing from Vennicus. Down goes the Armored Knight. Here comes level 17. 8. That's nice to see. 1 speed, 16 hit points, 7 magic points. So now all of a sudden 132 attack power on 102 magic points. This is definitely within range and go. Probably even has, with now 122 hit points, some room for possible doubles. The fact that Vennicus doesn't have a shield is a little bit to his detriment in that regard, but still has a decent shot to pick up at least one double attack over the course of this fight. And in addition to that, probably, even if he doesn't get a double, might have a spare Healmore or two, so long as Dragonlord 1 and Dragonlord 2 cooperate without too many back attacks or this kind of thing. So here we go. Vennicus is in go mode. VaeluV still needs levels and does not yet have the sword, so Vennicus has a pretty good head start here. And I'm reasonably sure Vennicus knows where Charlock Castle is. So he's going to take a look at the inventory, I think he only has 4 herbs there, if I saw that correctly. Vennicus jukes Cole, leaves it behind in the dust. Thought maybe he was going in there, decided not to. Said he's just going to wind his way around. Charlock, of course, is right here, just a couple screens diagonal from start to the southwest. Rainbow drop is up, and we'll get our first look at Charlock Castle. Vennicus is not breaking anything, so he won't be repelling anything on his way down, and all of the monsters can do at least a reasonable amount of damage to him. We've seen, I think, a couple of abilities here. We know Axe Knights have Dragon Lord 2 Breath. And we know Armor Knights don't have anything. Wizards, I believe, also do not have anything. Werewolves have Hurt More, if I recall correctly, and greens, speaking of greens, have Stop Spell and spam it like nobody's business. So at least greens aren't anything to worry about. Not that they would be necessarily anyway with 86 agility. It's just one kind enemy to see anytime you catch it in one of the 3 zones of Charlock here. And we see the werewolf pulling out the Hurtmore right away. Easiest enemy to run from in Charlock, so naturally immediately run blocks Vennicus on his first attempt. Vennicus just diving this in the dark. No torch on hand, feels like he's gotta go. Didn't stop to refill his herbs either. Resources are pretty good. So he probably feels reasonable about this dive. Like he's a good shot to finish this here. Yeah, those blue dragons do have sleep. They are definitely a threat to Vennicus on 73 defense. Can still run away from them fairly regularly. He's got good run chances against them, but any kind of a long sleep block is for sure going to deplete resources, and an Armored Knight here in Zone 2. Yeah, it's the blues are definitely more of a nuisance than anything. They would have to swing a lot to be a true threat to the dive, but they can absorb a lot of time that way. And here on the diamond-shaped floor, Vennicus is going to dig into those 2 spare MP he's got lying around to cast Radiant. That will hopefully smooth his walk out a little bit. Final floor for Vennicus. Been okay so far. I refuse to say anything more about it, because I will not be the reason the dive fails. I don't think it will anyway. Even saying that is probably too much. .73 defense here for Vennicus. He was unable to get a shield, so Dragon Lord 2 can hit him for 52 on the outside. It's not especially likely, but anything in that neighborhood he's got to be careful about. I'm sure he's aware of this. VaeluV, meanwhile, closing in on 17 himself. He's only got a couple of Armor Knights to go before he gets there, and we see our first Golem of the Seed here on the Charlock Spike. We do have the Fairy Flute, so Vennicus is going to use that. Picked it up in Mountain Cave. Try to get through this fight without using any resources, but first turn Wake Up for the Golem here. And weak breath from the golem. Whew. Held my breath there for a moment. We've seen so much DL2 in this seed. It would almost figure that the one of the few enemies that we haven't seen in all this seed, would all of a sudden show up with it. Oh, but on the back side, there goes the Healmore. Hopefully some better flute luck for Vennicus here. This has just been a total drag of a fight. VaeluV is now at level 17. He's got enough MP left to cast outside and does so, and is kind of marooned on second continent there, so he's going to walk this back out. Vennicus does get through the golem without spending any magic points, so he's still got 12 Healmores in the tank and has 2 herbs left. And somehow gets a red dragon on the very tile before he talks to the Dragon Lord, but a first turn run fortuitously. And Vennicus will be declared a fool. Here we go. 39's a decent opening swing against DL1. He'll try to herb up here, does get a stop spell, is sitting on 119 after 2 swings, so pretty good chance he dusts off DL1 here, and he does so. First turn against DL2 is a back attack. However, Vennicus will still get an opening swing, and he lands that for 8. Expecting an average of about 11.5 here. There's a melee for 48 from DL2, and now an 11 will take Vennicus to 19. $16. Good swing there for Ven. 35 now on DL2. Meanwhile, VaeluV loading up on herbs. Still has a little bit of work to do, but there's a 12 from Vennicus, 47 damage now. Got 8 Healmores left. Looking pretty good so far for Vennicus, he's about on par. Gets a double here. All of a sudden has 67 damage. Looking pretty well set up. There's a 14, now on 81. Another 12, 93. Basically right at average here, except with an extra swing from that double. Another 14, 107. $13 for 120. And it looks like VaeluV's making the play. He's not going to go look for Caitlyn. He's searched so long to try to find it as Vennicus takes a 50 melee, but lands a 13 of his own. He's now 133. Basically a lock here, barring a menuing disaster. Careful menu to that Healmore there for Vennicus. Probably advisable. 150. Next swing could do it. Either way, he's got at least 2 left. So this should be good for Vennicus. 160 now. Probably last swing is a 15 for 175. Clears the range. Everybody, please get your GGs out in chat for Vennicus, who has survived what was a disaster of a seed. Terrible enemies everywhere for the last 2 hours, but Vennicus on level 17 has finished this one off. An official race time GG time. After Gwaelin comes out to say hello. 2 hours, 11 minutes, 52 seconds. Job well done for Vennicus. So now we'll join VaeluV, who's on his Charlock dive. Unable to find Caitlyn earlier in the seed. It was actually pretty close to home, just south of Garanham there, across that bridge. but was unable to track it down and is gonna try to dive, hoping that the sword is down here. Unfortunately, we know how this is gonna go. But a job well done by Vennicus here today. This was not an easy seed by any means. VaeluV now on the final floor. It's going to head toward that treasury, wherein lies only disappointment. And we do have Vennicus in the booth with me. GG, Vennicus. Really kind of threw out, right? I mean, it just felt like there was so little to fight in this seed. I mean, did you feel kind of ahead, behind at any point? What were your thoughts as you kind of progressed through that one? It just felt like it was so slow in the early going. Oh, hang tight, Vennicus. Hang tight just a second. I forgot to unmute my Discord. So, unfortunately, nobody's hearing you yet. Give that another try. Chat. Vennicus, go ahead.
Okay, so, like, everything at the beginning had breath, hurt more, sleep, everything that was a real pain with low strength and all that. I was hoping when I found those green dragons that had like 75% stop spell, I'm pretty sure, that was the key, because that got me the hurt more, and then I was just open from there. I was just hoping that Vaelu didn't find that zone with the green dragons there next to the jerk cave, and that was when I was hoping I was ahead.
Yeah, I think I think you touched on two of the really key points there. I think you stayed in that green dragon zone a little bit longer. The experience points to that juncture had been going back and forth, you know, not more than about 100, 150 experience points either direction. But you both found the green dragons at about the same time, but you stayed there a little bit longer. Vale never found Caitlin, and so he, I think, felt like he had some more searching to do. And had to go out and continue exploring, so he didn't stay in the green dragon zone as long. You were able to, and like you said, that level, I think it was 13, was just huge, or 12 or 13 with Hurtmore was just absolutely huge.
Yeah, and then as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh hey, I know where Armored Knights are, but now let's go actually find the coordinates, and hey look, Armored Knights are also in Swamp, and I'm like, cool, I've got a quick easy grind, I'm not gonna worry about that, and just finish it off. I was kind of fortunate that the second continent had like nothing, and I didn't even explore it, so that could have easily sunk a bunch of time in if I went that way again.
Yeah, absolutely. It turned out Second Continent was basically empty. I mean, I'm sure you're aware that nothing was there, but I think you explored kind of the north and east part of it, and then it turned out that little passage that went south, I think you died before you got to that, and it just dead-ended really quickly, so it was just this tiny Second Continent with nothing on it.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, everything just seemed like really easy to get, because the armor was right away with Keys and Garenham, and then it took me a little bit to go west, and then Cole had a drop down spot. I'm like, oh man, this could actually be like a jet right away, but then it just, the spells took a little while to get, and of course it's another seed where it was a super late repel, so, you know, fighting all the Druids and stuff that decided to step in my path also helped me get the levels here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you articulated it really well, just kind of all of the challenges of that seed. VaeluV actually is still amid them. He has got a hand axe. He did not find the sword in the treasury. And I think he is taking a run at the Dragon Lord here, probably going to see some Hurtmores come out.
Oh no.
Because 107 attack power, unfortunately, is not enough. He was already kind of memeing it up a little bit. He took out the golem with a fairy water.
Oh,
He has a silver shield, so the Dragon Lord is doing not much damage to a melee. He might get a fair few Hurtmore attempts here before all is said and done. a
I
96
was also
defense.
surprised there was no like large shield anywhere. I kept on looking and just nothing. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna go with super low defense.
Yeah, we wondered about that. I think there was only one large shield that we saw in the seed, and that was in Cole. So as you were on your way toward Charlock, we wondered if you were going to stop in and check there, but it just kind of ducked out of the way.
Yeah, okay, cool. Alright.
VaeluV
But it all worked out.
Yeah, VaeluV did something very out of the ordinary. He actually dove Mountain Cave, I think about 4 or 5 times, got all 3 gold chests, and built his way up to a silver shield. It was pretty remarkable because it was a dangerous mountain cave, and he managed to get out and still get hold of that. So,
Whoa, that's actually super impressive.
yeah, he's running agility build, so he had 96 defense. He was repelling half of Charlock, basically. But unfortunately, without that Cantland find, he ended up without the sword. Otherwise, he would have been right on your heels. I think probably the span of about a Charlock dive, you were around 1,500 to 2,000 experience points ahead in the end game there. So it was really just came down to Cantland.
Yeah, it was tucked away in the south there a bit. If I pull up my map. Yeah, because it was below Garenham, past the swamp and the Bridge of the South. So yeah, I could see it kind of avoiding. But then again, on my first seed against Juf, I completely missed Cantland myself, so I know the feels.
Yeah, that's understandable. So please get your GGs out in chat for Vale. Yeah, as you said, I was actually surprised when we saw the path to Cantland the first time because it really did seem like it was close. It was just that bridge that's right between, to the south a little bit, between where Tanagel and Garenham were, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So we do have VaeluV in the booth with us now. GG, Vale.
GG Velu.
Probably just want to make sure it looks like you're muted, so you might want to check to make sure your push to talk is on. Lest the push to talk monster steal your words as nourishment. We don't want to feed the push to talk monster.
Good old push to talk monster. How y'all doing?
Good old push to talk monster. Thanks for joining us, Vale. GG. That was some seed, I gotta say. That was, I don't even really know how to describe it other than it was just a slog for so long.
Yeah, it definitely was. I never found Cantland, so I put all my eggs in the sword being in Charlock, and when I saw that 3rd curse belt, I was like, okay, let's go fling some hurt mores and get this over with.
Yeah. We wondered what your idea was going to be there, because, with the sword not being down there, I think it was probably an okay play. Did you feel kind of behind at that point, just not having found Cantland?
Yeah, not having found Cantland. Also, I kind of lost the jerk cave, so I was searching around for that for a little while too. So both of those things kind of made me feel like, okay, like it hasn't finished yet. It felt like a really slow seed either way, so I figured it would be close. But yeah, I didn't feel like I was anywhere in a good position all the way through my grind and before it.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. It was really early when you saw Jerk Cave for the first time, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
So yeah, it came down to that. I don't know if you caught the tail end of what we were talking about there when you came in, but Cantland ended up being, there was this little bridge, was just like a 1-tile gap that went just south of the spot in between Tanagel and Garenham, and you had to go through there to get to Cantland. I think it was the only route to it, so it was actually kind of close, but just hard to find.
Hidden in the terrain a little bit. Yeah, that happens, and so that was it.
Yeah.
I gambled on it not being there, and I lost the 1 in 8 or whatever that would be.
Yeah, just disappointing. You see that cursed belt kind of takes the wind out of the sails, hoping the sword would still be there, but
yeah, at least I didn't have to check the judges table, right?
Yeah, exactly. I gave you the information you needed so you don't have to climb back up Charlock.
Well, it was a good game, Vennicus. Good job finishing that. And
yeah, GG's.
Slog of a slog.
Those green dragons were juicy though.
Yeah, I didn't see enough of them to make full advantage of it, but I did kill a couple of them, I know.
But that's okay. You missing Caitlyn is just tantamount to me missing Caitlyn in my first seed against you. So we're even.
Exactly.
That's just what it is.
Seemed like everything had Sleep or Dragonlord 2 or Sleep and Dragonlord 2. Like there wasn't
Oh
really
yeah.
a nice place to grind, and if you found it, it was like outdated by the next level.
I think I lived off of Druins for the first like 40 minutes. But
Yeah.
even they had like heal and heal more and just
Yeah, I was dodging in and out of different places. I think I found a little Droll Magi grind on the other side of the swamp cave was fairly safe. I did that for a level. I just kind of took little things where I could here and there.
Yeah, I think that was actually probably the best zone in total that we saw all seed until the green dragon. The green dragons were viable, and you both found those about the same time. But VaeluV, your grind there, the Droll Magi, Drakema, that zone that you found on Second Con, actually served you pretty well in your early going there.
Yeah. I did a ghetto grind for Silver Shield money because I was a Agi build, so I figured, well, let's just do this. I don't know if that cost me or saved. I mean, I saw nothing on the first 2 floors of Charlock, so I guess it was worth something to do.
Yeah, I mean, it got you to 96 defense, so if you were repelling there, you would not see much because we didn't see anything in first zone that I think wouldn't have been repelled on 96.
Yeah, it was pretty nice going down Charlock Way with that. And I just figured at that point I was like level 11, things weren't looking good, and it just seemed like I was going to get a lot of use out of it, so I went ahead and did that. I also thought there was better stuff to kill in the mountain cave, like in there. I thought there was things that gave better experience, but there wasn't, or at least everything down there that did had like Dragonlord Breath and Sleep and everything else.
Yeah, it was just everything that wanted to kill you was ended up being down there. You had those armor knights on the top floor, the wraiths kept popping up with that sleep deal too.
The blue dragons were pretty nice. I mean, they had Sleep,
Yeah.
but they cast Hurt a whole lot more than Sleep.
Yeah, and so it was really unfortunate, like I'm sure both of you were thinking it too, if you just find a green or a blue on a spike tile, especially once you have a stop spell, that's like totally free, so to see both armor knights must have been at least a little disappointing.
Yeah, I was definitely hoping
was,
something nicer
but
in the
then
spawn.
but then level 12 or 13, whichever one had hurt more, I'm like, hey, viable grind now, let's go.
Yeah, for sure, even armor knight tile, way better than anything you had dealt with to that point in the seed, for sure.
But yeah, it was overall a fun seed. Thanks everybody for putting it on. Appreciate y'all. And yeah, it was good stuff. Good job again, Vennicus.
Yeah, GG's to you, man. Like, I don't think I would have ever thought of trying to get the mountain grad for Silver Shield. I rolled shieldless, so things were hurting.
Yeah, I mean, the first dive down, I was like, I had no money, and then I came out, I was like, holy shit, I'm rich. I thought about it, and my second pass by, I was like, let's just do this.
Beta's scrolling monsters right now. I gotta say, I've seen maybe 3 things that don't have Hurt More or Deal 2. There was even, I don't think we saw Metal Scorpion all seed, but it apparently had Dragonlord 2 Breath.
Oh, lovely.
And then, of course, the Metal Slimes. I know, Vale, you saw one early and then tried to get another one. Or you tried to find another one, and it turned out the zone was contaminated, but I think you were the first to get shocked by that one.
Yeah, I was totally chasing him down, and I did get the second one, and he was like, hey, here's a DL2, go home.
Yeah, that kind of seed. But thanks so much for both of you stopping by. I really appreciate hearing your thoughts on the seed. Anything else that you'd like to add before we get on out of here?
No, I always appreciate your work, Archfield, and I know Beta was tracking, and I appreciate everyone behind the scenes that help out and make this happen, because there's a lot of matches and more to come.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, I think we will just let that go at that then. Thanks so much to Beta for tracking. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all of you in chat for help keeping us on the beam where necessary. Hope you enjoyed today's race. There should be some more coming up here a little bit later today. Stay tuned for that. I'll bring up the calendar in just a moment, but I want to see some more of these monsters first. All of these wonderful Sleep, Hurtmore, DL2 monsters that infested the entire seed. But we'll show you the calendar momentarily. I think we've got at least A couple more races coming up today. Quinn Patrick and Only Wires Grab. That's a Druin group match. Couple of racers making their first tournament appearances. That's coming up here today at 7 o'clock Eastern. So that's only about a... let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I did have to count that out loud. And yes, it is half an hour from now. An hour after that at 8 o'clock Eastern, Gambit 017 against Cyberdark 86. Then at 2100, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, EMP, any amount of money, gets his first match in, top seed in the Druin group against 1235. And we'll finish off the night tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern with Aaron 2U2 versus Arn Polly. So 4 matches, I believe, left on the schedule left for tonight. And that was a max HP Dragonlord too, how about that? Because why not? Hope to see everybody back here for the next one, whenever that one might be. Until then, take care, tempt not the fates, etc. Have a good day, everybody.